the stories we share are so very important. And where I live in Wales, we are a nation of stories. Indigenous stories, that's harder to claim, for the land of the UK, of the British Isles, has had many changes in population, but the stories do continue. For those of you who do not know Wales, perhaps you know Tom Jones. Perhaps you know that he sung of the green, green grass of home. And the home he sung of was Wales. The reason Wales is so green is because we receive virtually the highest rainfall of anywhere in the UK. And that rain falls upon high mountains, deep valleys, streams, crystal clear rivers and lakes. And the entire nation is bordered by more than 1,300 miles of coastline. Wales is a nation created from water. If you head from the mountains of Tom Jones' birthplace south towards the sea, the mountains give way to a rolling, gentle landscape with deep, fertile soils, the Vale of Glamorgan. It is a rich tapestry of forest and farmland, meadows and marshes. If you travel to a place called Ogmore, there you will find a place where 3 rivers meet. And where those 3 rivers meet, close nearby, there is a cave. And within that cave there is a spring, an artesian well that flows up from the ground and flows through a shallow channel down to where those 3 rivers meet. For hundreds of years, it was the most reliable source of water. People would come with their buckets to collect their water, but when they collected it, they did not go into the cave. They would collect their water from the channel outside, because the cave, the well, the Shee Well as it was known, was said to be the home of the Gwrach Annwn. The Gwrach Annwn was a water spirit. If you think mermaid, but a creature far less tolerant of people. There were stories of those who had gone into her cavern and were dragged down to the watery depths. Now, I cannot tell you if those stories are true, but those stories did create a healthy respect for the Shee Well, and by association, the land all around it. Through stories, through customs, through traditions, the people retained their balance to the land. They say familiarity breeds contempt, so maybe that was the problem. Or maybe the people just stopped sharing the stories. For whatever reason, the people of Glamorgan lost their connection to the land. They forgot. And what was left behind? An emptiness in the hearts, minds, and souls of the people. As the generations rolled by, that emptiness, that void grew larger, deeper, and desperate to fill that hole, the people turned instead to matters of material gain, of money, of riches, of haves and have-nots. Those who grew wealthy bought up huge swathes of land, began to tear open the earth in search of even more precious minerals to gain even more wealth. Those who did not have the wealth turned instead to violence and even murder. At one point, things got so bad, it is said that the 3 rivers ran with blood. And through it all, the Grachanún just watched, observed. She was not inclined to get involved until the poisons and the pollution began to seep into her watery domain, and that was an insult that she would not tolerate. She drew back the waters of the Shee Well, withholding them. And the next day, when the people came to fill their buckets from the channel, they found it dry, but not empty. Instead of cool, clear, crystal water, they found serpents, they found toads. When they went to the place where the 3 rivers met, not a single fish could be found, charmed away by the Grachanún. And from the depths of that dark cavern, the cave that the Shee Well was within, they could hear the moans, the groans, and the wailing of the Grachanún, and they were afraid. The rich people who had earned their wealth from the land realized how quickly their fortunes could be overturned, and so they talked. Oh, they talked. They stood on the banks of the 3 rivers and they talked and they talked and they talked about what they might do. A little girl, 7 years old, grew tired of the adults' chatter, and she began to walk away, following the grassy slope up towards the cave of the Shee Well, towards the wailing and the cries. And when she got there, she knelt down and called into the darkness, "Are you okay?" The chattering crowd fell silent in open-mouthed horror. The wails and the cries within the cave stopped, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. And the little girl called out again, "Are you okay? Is there anything you need?" And from the darkness came a laugh. "Oh, my child, my sweet, beautiful child. It has been so long since anybody asked me such a thing." And so through the innocence of that little girl, the people realized what they had forgotten, what they had lost. And they asked the Grachanún if she would return the waters, and she said, of course, on one condition, that you return to caring for the land. And they did. Oh, they did. And when the waters began to flow once more, there was festivals, there was dancing, there were stories. And it was said that on that day, old men and old women grew young once more because of the joy that was shared at the returning of the waters.